ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೋದು ದೂರ ಹತ್ರ ಅಲ್ವಾ ನಾನು ಅದೇ ಸಿಕ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು ಯಾವ್ದು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾರು ಏನನ್ನು ಗೊತ್ತು ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಮಮ್ಮಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡೇನು ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅದು ಎಮ್ ಎಸ್ ಸಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು ನೀನು ಎಮ್ ಎಸ್ ಸಿ ಆದ್ರೆ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಇದ್ದೇ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಮ್ಮಗೆ ಗೋಳೆ ಬೇಡ ನೋಡಿ ಎಮ್ ಎಸ್ ಸಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀನು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅದ್ರ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಯಾವ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಕುಕಿಂಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಇನ್ಕೊಂಡು ಯಾರು ನಮಗೆ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ಗೆ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರೋದು ನೋಡಿ ಈಗ ಯಾರು ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ನನಗೂ ಮ್ಯಾಥ್ಸ್ ನನಗೆ ಮ್ಯಾಥ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ಮ್ಯಾಥ್ಸ್ ಕಷ್ಟ ಬರೀ ಯಾವ ಕೇಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಮ್ಯಾಥ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ
So good evening, everybody. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Good
Voice
evening.
clear, right? No problem with the voice?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Oh, fine. That's great. So I hope we can start off with the class today.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So request every other individual to kindly enable your videos, please. So just to brief you up with things what we have done in the previous class, we understood what is life process, the types of activities which takes place in human body. We're coming to the nutrition, respiration, nutrition, respiration, circulation, excretion. These things we have understood. And then last class we started with what is the meaning of nutrition and how many types of nutrition we have. We understood. There we understood about the autotropic nutrition. Under that, we understood about photosynthetic as well as chemosynthetic activity of autotropism. And then we understood about heterotropic nutrition. Under heterotropic nutrition, we understood the saprophytic nutrition, parasitic nutrition, as well as we understood about the holozoic nutrition. All right, everybody understood? Friends, any doubts in this, whatever we have done in the previous class? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So today we have to understand about autotropic nutrition in detail. That is photosynthetic mode of nutrition. We have to understand it in detail. Okay, fine. So let's go ahead. Let's begin with the class today. So it is autotropic nutrition. So in that we will be understanding how the activity of a photosynthesis takes place in the plant body. We'll go ahead with that part. Okay. So we'll go with photosynthetic nutrition. Okay, photosynthetic nutrition. Just a minute, I'm so sorry. Okay. See, previous class we had understood that photosynthetic type of nutrition will be seen in case of all green plants, right? Yes or no? Agree with this, everybody?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now, when I will just ensure that everybody will be able to see me, I'll spotlight my video. Okay. If that's not possible. So in this photosynthetic nutrition, all the green plants have the capacity of showing photosynthetic nutrition. Why? Because all the green plants, so when we talk about green plants, so green plants will be having something called as okay. So we'll have something called as chlorophyll. Okay. So how chlorophyll is going to help in the activity of the nutrition photosynthesis activity, we'll try to understand. So where is this chlorophyll present? Anybody can tell me where is chlorophyll present? Anybody?
In chloroplast.
Exactly. So chlorophyll will be present in case of chloroplast. So what is chloroplast? Chloroplast is considered to be as a cell organelle. Everybody agree with this? So chloroplast is a cell organelle. In that cell organelle, we are able to see the presence of chlorophyll pigmentation. So that pigment helps in the activity of photosynthesis. So now let's try to understand about the structure of chloroplast. Let's try to understand about the structure of chloroplast. Okay, fine. So you have to draw a diagram with me now. So kindly everybody draw a diagram along with me. Okay. So you have the pencils with you. Yes or no? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So kindly draw the diagrams along with me. Hope everybody can see what I'm writing, right? The board is visible to everybody, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine, fine, fine. Okay. Hope the diagram is very clear and you're able to write everything what I'm writing on the board, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine, fine, fine. So the moment you have finished writing the diagram, please give a thumbs up sign there so that I can start explaining about this. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Fine.
Sir,
Yeah, please go ahead.
sir, your voice is very low, sir.
Give me a minute time. I'll just take a break.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, you're on mute, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, if it is clear, please give me a thumbs up, because once I'm in the mic, I can't hear, I'm not able to hear you guys. That's why. Yes, okay, fine. So the audio clarity is clear now. Yeah, okay,
Yes.
fine. So let's go ahead and understand about the structure of this, what do you call it, as chloroplast. Okay, fine. So now when we try to understand about the chloroplast, so chloroplast is basically considered to be as a cell organelle. Now this cell organelle will be having the components called as chlorophyll, which is going to help in the activity of the photosynthesis. So how is the structure of chloroplast? Let's try to understand. Now, when you take a section of a chloroplast, basically in any plant, if you take a leaf and take a section of a leaf, you are able to see upper epidermis, lower epidermis, and as well as in between, you are able to see something called as mesophyll cells. So upper epidermis as well as lower epidermis. Lower epidermis is the region where we can see enormous number of chloroplasts present in it. So these chloroplasts are the cell organelles which have the capacity to help in the activity of photosynthesis. Now, when you take a section of a chloroplast, this is how it looks like. Usually a chloroplast will be made up of two membranes. One is called as the outer membrane, another is called as the inner membrane. Is that part clear to you, everybody? And then inside this chloroplast, you are able to see something called as the coin-like structures, and those coin-like structures we call them as thylakoid or thylakoids, anything you can call. So it is called as thylakoid. Each one of it is called as thylakoid, and these thylakoids are going to be placed one below the other or one above the other, which appears something like the stack of coins which are going to be placed. Means if you take a coin, start placing it one above the other, how it looks, in the same pattern we are able to see the thylakoids placed in it, and the complete thylakoid bundles we call them as grana, or it can be also called as granum. Is that fine with everybody? Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So next, in this particular part of the thylakoid or the grana, whatever we are able to see, I have shown you the green dots. Those green dots are what I call them as the chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is going to be this. So this is what I call it as chlorophyll. So the chlorophyll pigmentation is present inside this thylakoid. So which is the one which is going to help in the activity of photosynthesis? You all know that chlorophyll is required, which is a pigment. That pigment absorbs the light and helps in an activity of photosynthesis. We'll try to understand that part also. Now what happens is all these grana are interconnected to each other. So the interconnection of all this grana takes place by a tubular type of structures, which we call them as stroma lamellae. We call that as stroma lamellae. And then this entire part where you're able to see the presence of thylakoids as well as the stroma lamellae, that is considered to be as the stroma, or we also call that as matrix. Now, in that matrix, we are able to see the presence of thylakoids. The thylakoids will form as the grana or the granum, and those grana are interconnected by stroma lamellae. And inside the thylakoid, we are able to see the chlorophyll pigmentation. Clear? Is that part clear to everybody? Fine. Now, there is another special characteristic features what we need to understand here. Now, here, when the photosynthesis is taking place, the matrix will be also having various types of enzymes. Now, those enzymes are very much required for the activity of photosynthesis. And along with that, the matrix of a chloroplast, whenever you observe, it will be also made up of its own genetic material.
Genetic material is always considered to be as DNA. Hope everybody knows about this, right? So genetic material is DNA. So chloroplast is the organelle which will be having its own genetic material as DNA. No other type of cell organelle will be having its own type of DNA or genetic material. It's an exceptional case what we are able to see with respect to chloroplast. Is that fine with everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So ಈಗ let's try to understand the next stage, how the activity of photosynthesis takes place in this chloroplast. Okay, so anybody having any doubt, please, you are welcome to ask me any questions. I'll just give 2 minutes time. You can ask me any question. Yes. So anybody has any doubt or any questions to be asked? Hello? Hello? Can anybody just respond to this, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so shall we proceed ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's try to understand what are all the events which is going to take place with respect to a activity of photosynthesis. Okay, so prior to that, just write few points about this chloroplast. Write down, everybody. Chloroplast. Chloroplast is a cell organelle. Which is responsible for photosynthesis, Okay. Next. Chloroplast has two membranes, as outer membrane and inner membrane. It has two membranes such as outer membrane and inner membrane. Next. The chloroplast is made up of stroma, which is the ground substance, Next. Stroma is also called as matrix. Next. Stroma contains flat disc-shaped structures, called as thylakoid. Flat disc-shaped structure called thylakoid. Next point. Thylakoids are arranged one above the other. Forming a stack-like structures.
Same point, sir. Thylakoid are
Grana, called as grana or granum.
Sir, can you repeat that point again?
Fine. Next point. The granas are interconnected by stroma lamellae. Granas are interconnected by stroma lamellae. Granas are interconnected by stroma lamellae. Next point. The thylakoids will be having, next point, thylakoids will be having the pigment called as chlorophyll. Thylakoids will be having pigments called as chlorophyll. Pigments called as chlorophyll. Okay. Okay, we're done, right? So we'll try to understand the next thing as photosynthesis, the steps of photosynthesis, what and all will happen in photosynthesis. We'll try to understand. So can I rub this part? Everybody, can you give me a thumbs up if I can rub this?
Yes,
Oh.
sir. Yes, sir.
So there is one more schematic representation which you people have to note down. Okay, so that I will just write it on the board, just copy down that, then I will explain you about that part. Okay, fine. So take down the next heading as the events of photosynthesis. Okay, it's called as so events of photosynthesis. Let's try to understand. So usually the activity of photosynthesis is learnt in two major pathways. One we call it as light reaction, and second is called as the dark reaction. So we have two things. One is called as light reaction, another is called as dark reaction. So two steps we are able to see the activity of photosynthesis taking place. So usually light reaction takes place in thylakoids. So light reaction takes place in thylakoids, whereas dark reaction is going to take place in stroma. So it is going to take place in the stroma of the chloroplast. There we are able to see the activity of dark reaction. So what is this dark reaction? Dark reaction meaning is the reaction which takes place without the usage of light. Don't feel that dark reaction means it is that reaction which takes place in the dark condition, or it is going to take place in night condition. No, that's a wrong notion. Dark reaction means the reaction which takes place during the daytime itself, but it is not utilizing the light. That's why it is called as dark reaction. So light reaction it is also going to take place in the daytime only, but it is going to utilize the sunlight. So this is sunlight dependent and this is sunlight independent. So as it is independent of light, we call that as a dark reaction. Hope this part is clear to everybody, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? Yeah. See, whenever I ask something, if you have understood, please give me a thumbs up there. That's sufficient, because as I'm using the mic, Even if you talk also, I will not be in a position to hear that. That's why please give me a thumbs up. That is sufficient for me. Okay, fine. Okay, so let's try to understand what and all will happen in this dark reaction and light reaction. So please make a note of this one. So let us take this as the chloroplast, whatever we wrote it at that particular point of time. Okay, so here now, light reaction, dark reaction, both will take place in the chloroplast itself. How it will take place, let's try to understand. Okay, so very first, I will show it like this. So I'll show it as water molecule. So water molecule is going inside the part of the chloroplast. Please make a note of this one, then I'll explain you. Okay, in this we'll write it as so let's see what and all will happen here. Okay, so from here it was going to here. Okay, note down this, then I'll explain it. Is it done?
Yes, sir.
If you're done, give me a thumbs up symbol. We can go ahead with the explanation. Okay. Now observe. So there is light reaction, there is dark reaction. light reaction takes place in the thylakoids. So thylakoids, what and all will happen? Let's see. See, very first, as you all know, plants are going to have the capacity of absorbing water from the soil. So the water which is being absorbed from the soil reaches the chloroplast and enters the thylakoids. Just a minute. Okay. So water molecules will enter into the thylakoid, and once it enters the thylakoid, there are reactions which are going to take place. How will the reaction take place? Let's try to understand. So the moment water enters the thylakoid region, so what is present inside the thylakoid? There is presence of chlorophyll pigmentation. So now there is presence of sunlight. So the sunlight is also entering inside this thylakoids. So water molecule is entering inside the thylakoid, as well as sunlight is also entering the thylakoids. So those are called as photons. Basically, the energy molecules of the light are called as photons. So the moment it goes inside the thylakoid, water molecules are going to split up. So how are they going to split up? The splitting is going to take place with the help of light. So that's why we call that as photolysis. Photo refers to light, lysis refers to breakdown. So what is breaking down? Water molecule is breaking down. So when water molecule is broken down, it changes into hydrogen ion with as well as OH ion, hydroxyl ion is going to be formed. So this hydroxyl ion which is going to be formed later converts into oxygen. So that's why you can see here the light reaction activity. What is going to happen is the water molecules split and there is release of oxygen. So that's why whenever we write the photosynthesis reaction, end product we write it as oxygen. Where did we get that oxygen from?
Sir, your voice is breaking,
Oxygen
sir.
is obtained from splitting of water molecules. Is that clear, everybody? Then next there will be presence of ADP. What is ADP? Adenosine diphosphate. ADP is called as adenosine diphosphate. It is called as adenosine diphosphate. Okay, so it's called as adenosine diphosphate. So that ADP is going to react with the inorganic phosphate. So there is presence of inorganic phosphate in the stroma, as well as adenosine diphosphate is also present in the stroma of the chloroplast. Both of these components enter inside the thylakoid. So once they enter inside the thylakoid, so adenosine diphosphate is going to react with a phosphate ion. So when it reacts with a phosphate ion, it is getting converted into ATP. What is ATP? You people all know that ATP is called as adenosine triphosphate. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. So what is happening? ADP with an inorganic phosphate is entering into the thylakoid. Once it enters into the thylakoid, with the presence of sunlight, adenosine diphosphate and phosphate ion reacts and forms ATP, and the ATP is coming out again into the stroma. Okay, so next what happens? There is NADPH. What is this? Sorry, what? NADP, not NADPH, it is NADP. What is this NADP? NADP is called as nicotinamide adenosine diphosphate. Nicotinamide adenosine diphosphate. So that is NADP, which is present in the stroma of this chloroplast. That also enters into the thylakoid. So what will happen inside the thylakoid now? We have already understood that photolysis of water has yielded hydrogen ion, hydroxyl ion. So this hydrogen ion, which is released by photolysis of water, reacts with NADP and it will form as NADPH. And it is going to come out of the thylakoid. So what is NADPH? Nicotinamide, adenosine, dinucleotide, phosphate, hydrogenase. I'll repeat it once again. N refers to nicotinamide, A refers to adenosine, D refers to D refers to di, P refers to phosphate, H refers to hydrogenase. Nicotinamide, adenosine, dinucleotide, phosphate, hydrogenase is NADPH. So it is coming into this part of the, what do you call, stroma. So what happened initially? In ADP and phosphate ion entered into the thylakoid and came out as ATP. Same way, NADP entered the thylakoid, reacted with hydrogen ion and came out as NADPH. So for all this activity to take place, it requires light. That's why it is called as light reaction, which takes place in the thylakoids. What's the next step now? We call it as dark reaction. What will happen in the dark reaction? Let's try to understand. Now, carbon dioxide is also entering into the chloroplast, but that is not going inside the part of the thylakoid. It is just present in the stroma itself. So here in the stroma, carbon dioxide needs to be reduced. Okay, carbon dioxide needs to be reduced to glucose. So I hope you people know what is the meaning of reduction. Reduction is nothing but removal of oxygen from a substance or addition of hydrogen to a substance. Now observe, carbon dioxide is there. Carbon is there, oxygen is there. You are not removing oxygen, but you are adding hydrogen. Now observe, carbon dioxide is converted to sugar. Sugar is C6H12O6. Howda? Right? So C6H12O6. So carbon was there, oxygen was there. We have added hydrogen atom to it. So addition of hydrogen is what I call it as the reduction. How will that activity take place? Now you see, ADP was going into the thylakoid. It came out as ATP. NADP, it went into the thylakoid, came out as NADPH. Now this NADPH will come in contact with the carbon dioxide. Once it comes in contact with the carbon dioxide, it will give this hydrogen atom to carbon dioxide. So when it is giving that hydrogen to the carbon dioxide, it requires energy. Where is energy being given from? ATP is always called as the energy currency. So that is the one which gives the energy to it. So again, NADPH is combining with carbon dioxide, and when it is combining with carbon dioxide, it requires energy, and energy is given from ATP. So ATP, when it gives energy to the carbon dioxide and NADPH, it gets converted into C6H12O6. So NADPH ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ, hydrogen ಮಾತ್ರ ಹೋಗಿ carbon dioxide ಜೊತೆ react ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. NADP is left out. So that NADP comes again into the stroma. Okay. ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? What is the next thing which is going to happen? ATP was given here. So ATP, when it gave energy to that substance, it got converted to ADP and phosphate ion. So ATP broke and it released energy. When it is releasing energy, it is converting itself into ADP and an inorganic phosphate. So that again comes back to the stroma. So ಹೀಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸ್ಟ್ರೋಮಾದಲ್ಲಿ ADP phosphate ion ಬರುತ್ತೆ, NADP ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Again it goes into the thylakoid, shows light reaction, comes to the stroma, enters into the carbon dioxide reaction and gives that hydrogen and energy, converts into glucose. Along with that, again it is coming back to the stroma as ADP and inorganic phosphate and NADP. So that is how the reaction takes place as light reaction, dark reaction. So ee ella activity ಆಗ್ತಿರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ you require one more important component, and that component is RUBP. You require another thing which is called as RUBP. What is RUBP? Ribulose biphosphate is called as the RUBP. So RUBP is considered to be as ribulose biphosphate. Some textbooks also give that biphosphate as bisphosphate. You can call it with anything, ribulose biphosphate or ribulose bisphosphate, anything. So idu ondu bekagutte. So not much detail about RUBP is required. Just know that there is requirement of RUBP. So this is how light reaction, dark reaction takes place, and the end product we get as glucose molecule. Everybody understood this? Any doubt? Anybody who didn't understand any concept in this? Should I repeat it? Please tell me yes or no. If no, please give a thumbs down. If yes, please give a thumbs up. Others? What about others? Okay. So for the last time, I will just brief up this thing, activity of light reaction, dark reaction. Very first, water molecule is entering into the chloroplast and it enters the thylakoids. So once it enters the thylakoids, what will happen? Light reaction will take place in the presence of sunlight. So in the presence of sunlight, it is going to take up the reaction. So allenagutte, light reaction agbekadre water molecules are going to break. So that activity we call it as photolysis. When water molecules break, it will form hydrogen ion, hydroxyl ion agutte. So adagidmele the hydroxyl ion changes into oxygen molecule. Same way, once that is going to happen, there is also presence of ADP which enters into the thylakoid with the phosphate ion and gets converted to ATP in the presence of sunlight. Matte NADP is entering into the thylakoid and changes into NADPH by reacting with the hydrogen ion released from the water molecule. So the next step is in the stroma, carbon dioxide is also entering into the stroma. So what it is going to happen is there is a dark reaction which is taking place where carbon dioxide is reduced to glucose molecule. How it is going to be released to means forming as glucose molecule? It is going to utilize NADPH, which is going to give that hydrogen to this carbon dioxide. As a result of this, it converts into glucose molecules. During that time, ATP is being utilized and releasing energy, which again converts back to ADP plus inorganic phosphate, and NADPH gets converted to NADP and comes back to the stroma. So this is how the activity of the light reaction, dark reaction takes place in a plant body. That's how it is called as autotropic. So autotropism is basically we have utilized, means the plant has utilized inorganic compound. Which is the inorganic compound? The inorganic compound is carbon dioxide. And at the same time, it has utilized water molecule. The end product we are able to see C6H12O6. So we are able to see formation of glucose molecules. Along with that, there will be release of water as well as oxygen. So all this takes place in presence of two things. One is sunlight, another is chlorophyll, which is going to be seen in the part of the thylakoid. So is this clear to everybody? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Everybody have understood this part? Hope there is no doubt in this. Howda?
Doubt idya? You can talk now. Anybody has any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Clear aita ido? Okay. See, nodi, examination nalli nimage ee particular part du ondu question barabodu. Yaudu? How the activity of photosynthesis takes place in the plant anta ondu question barabodu. 2 marks or 3 marks keluvanta question. So adaralli you have to explain what is happening with light reaction, what is happening with dark reaction, with a schematic representation of this. Okay, now? Fine. You hope this part is clear to everyone. No doubt. So next now, after this activity, photosynthesis, we have understood how plants are going to show photosynthesis, autotrophic mode of nutrition. The next thing is we have to understand how animals are going to show the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, that is holozoic mode of nutrition, especially with respect to human being. So in human being, there is an activity of intake of food. After that, there is digestion of the food. Once the digestion of the food takes place, there is absorption of the food. After absorption, there is assimilation of the food. Right, everybody? So that we have to understand. We'll go ahead with that in the next class. Okay, fine. So we'll continue that in the next class. So until then, please go through whatever we have done today in this class, and then we'll meet in the next class about the activity of digestion in human beings. Okay, everybody clear?
Yes, sir.
Know any other?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Doubt
Sir,
yes, go ahead, please.
sir, not in this, sir, what you have done now, but in structure of chloroplast, sir. Sixth statement you have given, no, sir. Once you recall it, sir. I have asked that time, but you did not listen.
Okay, I didn't see that, man. So I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay, sir.
ಯಾವ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಓದ್ತೀರಾ?
Stroma contains flat dish shape called a thyroxide.
Come again.
Stroma contains flat dish shape called as thyroxide.
ಥೈರಾಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಥೈಲಕಾಯ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲ.
Okay, sir, thylakoid.
Thylakoid. Okay. Next ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ thylakoid will have pigment called as chlorophyll. Will have pigment called as chlorophyll. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay then. So we'll meet again in the next class on Tuesday. Okay. Fine then. Until then, see you all. Bye. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.